Welcome in, you guys. I'm your host, Andrea. You're listening to From Mrs. to Ms. But today we're taking it off the From Mrs. to Ms. We're going from never knowing each other to besties, just like that. Oh my God, you guys, I'm so excited. I have
Yes.
a very good friend of mine joining me today. You guys have never met her before because I just kind of met her myself.
Ooh, fresh blood.
Fresh blood. We've got Amy Watts with us here today. Hi, Amy.
Hey, it's so good to be here. This is so fun. That intro was amazing. So, yeah, fresh blood. Although I will say I've binged the podcast, so I know what's up here, but this
Yeah.
is so fun because yeah, we like from just meeting to, and we'll go into that, I think, right? We're going
Yes,
to go
we
into
will.
how we met, which is so fun and so appropriate for
Yeah.
this demographic here. So, yeah, I'm so excited. Thanks for
I'm
having me.
100%. I'm so happy to have you here and that you were like, yes, I'll do it. Because for me, I love
Yeah.
just really having conversations that are easy and fun. And for, people just to get to know more a little bit about the real me and like how I am with my friends. I do a lot of guests. So I really am enjoying kind of bringing back my own stuff to the show. So I'm really happy you're here with me. So
Very cool.
we're going to go a little bit different today, you guys, because my friend here, like I mentioned, we actually matched on Facebook dating. This is which I love. We were not looking to date women. We were looking
Oh,
for
thank you for clarifying
friendships.
that. I mean, great if you are, but no, I was not.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
not. So, and I want to give you guys just a little glimpse of this because Amy messaged me on Facebook dating, and I want to read out her personal message to me because I just told her it was so cute. And looking back at it now, I'm like, yeah, you hooked me on that. So this is what she said. She said, "Hello, Andrea. Welcome to 2025, where we date for friends on social media. But building my village of badass females is important enough to me that I'm willing to jump in. Where are you located?" And I was like, oh, I'm a badass female. Let's go.
Oh, yes, you are.
So that was my first thought. And I'm like, oh, somebody who recognizes who she's reaching out to. Let's go ahead and get with that. So I loved that you did that. So let's talk a little bit about that. So
Okay.
for people that don't understand or know really what we're talking to, because we're kind of jumping into it. So on Facebook,
Right.
there's all kinds of the dating apps out there. And you can also do this on Bumble, if anybody didn't know, because they
Yes.
have Bumble dating and Bumble friends, right? So you can make friends on there. So on Facebook, if you didn't know this, they now have a whole dating thing. It's just at the bottom of your app if you're in Facebook app, and it says dating, but you can also click on friendship and you can swipe and meet different friends. So that's what happened. And you do have to do the same kind of swiping. So it's kind of fun to see what friends you match up with and if anything comes of it, which it has for us because we've hung out a few times and we're loving it. We're just having such a good time. Well, she's here.
Yeah.
So this is
Well,
exciting.
and you talked about jumping right in, and we have a cruise scheduled
We,
together.
we've already planned a
We
trip.
really jumped right in. we
I mean,
got the
this
trip
is,
planned. Yeah.
I think our first hangout was only like probably 3 weeks ago, maybe.
Ish.
I think
Yeah.
so, ish,
Yeah, I think
about
so.
that, right? And then we
Yeah.
just found we had so much stuff in common. And we're like,
Yes.
let's go have some fun. Let's go do some trips this summer. Let's go find
This is
different
what we
things to
do.
do. This is what we do. This is what we do. This is what two beautiful women in their 50s that are single, and I'm using 50s very lightly. We are both right there.
50.
We just got there. 50. We're both
Yeah.
50. And we're just enjoying hanging out, getting to know each other. We're both fairly new to LA, right? So we're kind of
Yeah, the
tootling
California.
around. Yeah, we're kind of heading around California a little bit and seeing what there is to offer, and we're getting to know each other. So I'm just gonna say I highly recommend this for everybody.
It's
It's
been
much
a
more fun
blast.
than
Look,
dating.
why would you not go on an app? You're going on an app to find your potential life partner. Why in the hell would you not go on there looking for friends as well, right?
I
So,
love that. I've really
absolutely.
not
I
thought
mean,
about it before.
yeah. You're putting a lot of trust in these platforms. So, might as well build the badass tribe at the same
That's
time.
right.
Yeah.
And if they're not coming out on the other end, they surely will come out on the dating end. We are much more likely to meet the people we're destined to be friends with for life. So I love that. Okay, so let's go back to that fateful day when we met. What kind of, like, when you were going through, I'll tell you what drew me to you, and you tell me what drew you to me.
Yeah.
Anything particular?
I think it was like looking for like I'm about energy, vibe,
Mhm.
energy, just kind of what, and you can get that through a profile, right?
Yeah,
I think you can get that through
if
the app.
it's a good
That's
one, yeah.
obviously that's what we do. Well, and the bad girl, we can swipe left on those bad ones too.
That's right.
But so I was looking for somebody, kind of that it felt like a similar energy, looked fun and engaging, and your pictures, you have multiple things going on. So it was that, really, it was that. And I mean,
Oh,
you're adorable, and so
oh,
yeah, I
shucks.
can't remember really what some of your profiles said, but it was the pictures showing, engaged in different activities.
Yeah,
And
which is kind of funny when you think about it because we are creating our profiles to appeal to the opposite sex or somebody that you're interested in, whether it's,
right.
hetero or not. But
Mhm.
so it's kind of funny because if you think about what some people put in there, that might throw people off for dating. So I don't know. I'd be curious if they would ever do like a separate, oh, here's my dating profile and here's my friendship profile, because that's very different.
That's
Right. So that,
brilliant. You're right. And I
of
actually looked at it through that lens of like, okay, this profile is not, it's tuned for a
course.
dating
Yes.
expectation, right? So, you
Yes.
look at it through that lens, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
listen, Andrea, when I read that you love long walks on the beach and puppy kisses, I was sold.
And we've done that, people. No, I'm just kidding.
Not the puppy
No, we didn't.
kisses anyway.
No. Long walks to find where we were meeting each other, maybe.
Exactly. On the beach, at the beach.
On
Yeah.
the beach. Venice, we walked that or Hermosa. You
Yeah.
had some good times. So, yeah, and same kind of for you. When I saw, because yours came up and you swiped on me first. So then when yours came up, I was like, oh, she looks cool. And I just loved, you looked like you were having fun. Again, I could also read the energy through it. You look like you work out. I mean, look at your arms, badass arms. So that's always motivating to me. I'm like, I want those arms. So I was like, oh, she looks great. And then we just had a good match and we were kind of, in a good area to meet each other. So here we are.
Okay, can I ask you a question? I know that's,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe you're supposed to be asking me, but so
No.
when you when you're dating, when you're on these apps for dating, right? And like there's a
Yeah.
connection, you match. I think we exchanged a couple of texts or
Yes.
messages via the platform, but we jumped in really quickly and scheduled that, like, yeah, let's meet up for, I think it was just for like a walk,
For
or
the
it was
love.
it was
Yeah,
the
the
market. There was a
festival.
market.
Yeah, the
Yeah, yeah,
market
yeah.
thing.
Like a street festival,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my MO when I'm dating. I'm like, that's my MO in life, Andrea. Decide and execute. That is the mantra I'm living by right now. Decide and execute. So
I love
do
that.
you kind of, is that how you roll with dating too? Because we jumped in and like we're like, yeah, let's meet. And it was
Yeah.
within a handful of days, I think.
For sure. Yeah, I'm not, it depends. If I'm not really sold on them on dating, I kind of play along until it gets to a point where I'm like, okay, do I want to meet them or not? But for the most part, yes. I don't want to sit on the app. I'm not looking for a pen pal.
Yes.
Some of these guys out there want to just sit and chat and they don't, to me, those are ones that are either not available, they're not really interested, they're probably talking to multiple women, they don't want to
Hmm.
actually invest in getting to know you outside of the app and they're content to just sit there. Not what I'm looking for. So I
Exactly.
approached it the same way I think you did. And we're like, okay, great. We've chatted. We're finding some things in common. Let's make a plan and execute it. Right. Like
Hmm.
that's what we did.
Okay. So have you
Yeah.
matched? I had a couple of other females that I matched with on the friendship level too, and two
Wait,
of them
what?
were. It was that.
Wait, whoa, what the fuck? What? There were others?
Should I have saved this for the next date? I should have let the relationship progress a little bit further.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm
Let me
sorry.
feel like we're alone in this for a
Well, let me
minute.
finish. Let me finish. And I
Okay,
think
go
you'll
on.
feel
Go
okay
on.
about it in the end. Okay. So it was the
Okay.
pen pals, right? And then one girl, it
Yeah.
was Mother's Day. And one girl sent this like Carl Jung quote, which is fine, except it was like
Okay.
4 paragraphs. And I was like, well, that got really fucking weird really fucking
That-
fast. It was next on
Tell my
that
real
one.
spirit.
Yeah, but it was we had been exchanging messages for a few days, and I was like, "This is cool." And we talked about getting together, like after Mother's Day,
Yeah.
and then it just went south really quickly. So my point in all of that is to say it is not much different. It's a
Different
degree.
than
It's different
dating.
than the date. Yes,
You know
yes.
what's really funny about that is I did not even think twice. If we matched, I don't recall going back and going, oh, let me see if I can find some other friends. I think I am like,
Because when you hit the
I'm a solo
jackpot, Andrea,
friender. Well, I keep looking when you found your
come
soulmate.
on.
I mean, it didn't make sense. I know. Yeah, I don't remember doing that. So I think I was like very just content. And I was like, yeah, let's see how that goes. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's really
Well,
weird because I'm not like that with dating. Dating, I'm like, I need to make sure I
you got
have
the
like
roster.
yeah, I got to know what I'm looking with, you know, who I'm comparing against this one so I can narrow it down, see who rises to the top and who sinks. I don't know.
Wow. That's that's kind of brutal. And absolutely I
It
do
is.
the same
And here I am
thing.
still single. So it's apparently
Single and loving it
it's,
and having a great time.
and having a great time and telling everybody else. It's so much easier to look at other people's relationships, right? And tell them what is missing or what they need to do. I mean, yeah, doctors are terrible patients. So, you know,
For
it's hard to
sure.
do.
Yeah.
Yes. So I love that we have become friends. So I know we're making a lot of jokes and light about it, but we're so happy that we've become
Absolutely.
friends. We text like multiple times throughout the week, check in on each
Yep.
other. We give reports on our dates. We we
And let me
rate
tell
them
you, like,
sometimes.
I mean, in all seriousness, like it is so valuable, right? It is hard. I think especially like we're 50, right? It's hard to find
Yeah.
women that you can connect with. A lot of us have, just like with dating. I keep saying that, but it makes sense here.
Yeah.
There's baggage that you bring in, like women that have
Yeah.
been stabbed in the back by others and don't trust women, or their confidence isn't there, and this season of life, and how do I show up as a friend now? I've been friends with my kids'
Mm.
friends' parents, right? Out of convenience
Hmm.
or life situation, season of life. But when you're two absolutely random people meeting together as friends without any type
Yeah.
of connection, that doesn't happen as often. So
No. And it's
I
bold. I
think
mean,
it
it's,
is
I
bold.
love it. It is bold, right? And I love it
Yeah,
because I feel like you and we definitely clicked right off the bat. It felt like I'd already known you. We were just
totally.
chatting and getting to know each other and figuring out what we found out real quick. You know, we're not even into like the same type of guys, which makes it awesome and easy
I
for
know
us,
that's
you
the
know?
best, right? If
Right.
you're
There'll be no
listen, okay, here's
competition
our
there.
pro tip. Everybody grab your pen and paper. This is the pro tip
Give
of
it.
the takeaway of this whole. If you are going to be develop a new friendship with an obviously additionally single female or individual, make sure that you're not looking for the same people, right? That would be awkward.
Hmm.
I think about, we were sitting at our first lunch and we were like, oh, what about him? And I'm like, yeah, great for you, but what about this one? You're like, yeah, great for you.
Yeah,
It works out beautifully, so you don't set yourself
totally.
up for competition, right? We
100%.
obviously
And I
didn't
think
plan that,
that's
but
why, yeah, but I think that's why it was so easy. I really do.
yeah.
Because we were able to just talk freely about like what we liked and look and not worry about like, oh, but is she going to want this guy? I'm going to show it right now. Because we're not too far away in our distance either for the
And
radius, you
isn't it
know?
cute
So
that we think like, oh, well, we saw him across the restaurant, we both could totally have it. Now who's gonna fight over it?
I don't even
I'm
know if
sorry
he
for
was
my
looking
lack of
our way.
confidence.
He didn't even look our way. I don't think. And we're just like, oh, he's yours. No, he's yours. No, he's mine.
Actually, I didn't even notice if there was a ring, so whatever. It's fine. It was a great opportunity to discover that, oh, this is gonna work out beautifully.
100%. I
Yeah.
love it. Okay. So we're going to move on from this because we let you guys
Okay.
know this is how we met and we are very excited about it. We're very happy we're here. We're chatting with you guys. We see a long-term friendship here and we're making plans. We've got our cruise coming up. So we're super excited about that. All right. So we're going to move on because we're going to talk about dating. We're bringing it to what this show is really about. I do want to say, just to say it again, that there are all kinds of amazing relationships out there. And so friendships are, of course, one that
Yes.
does not need to be, thrown to the wayside. That can be very fulfilling and allow you to not be so dependent on finding that person you enjoy doing stuff with and have fun. And that's allowed us to kind of find an outlet and be like, oh, hey, let's us go do stuff. It's not all about dating. So, righto. All right.
Yeah,
So we're
I
going to move
think
on to
having
dating.
your
Mhm.
beautiful friendships is also, it's also super valuable when you do enter into that romantic relationship. Then you're not putting all of your expectations on that, really, like expecting that person to meet all of your needs, right? You're well balanced by having additional relationships outside. So just another perk.
Absolutely. Love it.
Yeah.
So true. All right. So let's talk about what dating feels like and looks like right now for the both of us. Okay. So tell me a little bit about your status, as much as you're willing to share or as little. That's totally up to you. I'm like a big sharer. So whatever you want to say is totally fine, girl. So where are you at
Okay.
right now?
Yeah, well, you caught me in transition a little bit. This is so fun. Okay, I have to give a little bit of backstory. So I moved to
Please.
California about 3 months ago, roughly, and was in a long-term relationship there for about two and a half. Sorry, I moved here from North Carolina. Was in a long-term
Mm,
relationship there in Charlotte, North Carolina. Moved here, and we were like, yeah, let's do the long distance thing, and that lasted about a month, maybe not even. And then it
yeah.
was like, yeah, this is not going to work. So
Mm.
dated pretty heavily for the last bit, right? So
Yeah.
multiple times a week probably, and looking for something, but at the same time kind of exploring the area, looking to have a good time. And by that I mean
Hmm.
like go to nice dinners and do fun
Yeah.
activities, right?
And see new
But
things. Yeah.
yeah, but very recently I have reconnected with my partner in Charlotte and we are conversing and exploring. And so, am I still dating? Absolutely him. And we'll see
Yes.
what happens. We'll see what
Just see
happens.
what
But also,
happens.
yeah, so I've been divorced for 5 years and so, have been dating throughout that time too.
Yeah. Well,
That's
it's, I
my
love
dating story.
actually, thank you for sharing that, first of all. And
No.
I love actually that we met kind of when we did, because it allowed me to see kind of two different sides for you, right? Like I could be like, okay, I
Ooh.
saw how you were when you were kind of, yeah, you were dating and going on dates, and we were calling each other and texting, going, okay, I just got back from my date. It was blah, blah, blah. And, this and that. And now I can kind of see how you are going to be with your previous partner and how that kind of plays out. So I think that's kind
Yeah.
of cool. I'm getting to see both sides of that, right?
Also
So
too, like we're dating each other at this point too, he and I. So
yeah,
it's not like we're fully back into this relationship. So we'll see.
yeah, going
That will still
slow.
be fun too. You're still gonna get the calls of, the post
I want
date
to hear.
recap.
Yes, I absolutely want to hear all of that. So what was, okay, I'm curious for you. What was it like, first of all, because you're new here. So I remember being like, oh, excited about new crop of men, right? Like, let me go out and see what there is here, different from where you were before. Because we know on the dating sites, it's kind of, you're just recycling them. A lot of the people come up again and again and again. So it's kind of nice to go somewhere new, find new people. So, how was like the caliber of men here compared to, well, you weren't really dating as much though,
Well, let
right?
me
In North Carolina.
give you a little more information. Again, so we're getting to know each other still in our friendship here too, right? So some of this is new
Yes.
information. Prior to North Carolina, I was in the Chicago area. And when I was dating there, I dated in Chicago, but I traveled a lot too. I dated several guys actually in Atlanta.
Oh,
I had intended to move to Atlanta and then met Mr. Charlotte and things
aha.
developed there. So I have this comparison of like the Chicago area, Charlotte, Atlanta, and what happened when I came to California, LA specifically, everybody
Yeah.
immediately, when they found out I was dating, it was like, ugh, everybody here is so flaky. Good luck. You can't find
Yes.
real. And I was like, you know what? That's your opinion. I'm going into it with a totally different story.
Love that.
So that was
I love that you were just open to that though too. So
hmm,
how was it, what you thought, or were you like, yeah, they're right?
it was both. I mean, I had one gentleman that I went on 4 dates with. So
Okay.
obviously not super flaky. Got to date 4, the orange flag started turning red, and there was definitely some. Now, I'm not one of those people who throws around this diagnosis of narcissist. I'm actually a psychiatric and addictions nurse in addition to a life coach. So I don't throw
Oh, we
around
should have
mental health
added that. Yeah.
diagnoses. I don't throw those
Yeah.
around easily, but this guy for sure had some
Yeah.
tendencies there, so backed off.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, yeah, there was a lot of like, well, now what's your name again? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Are you kidding me? Or they would be like, honey. And so I challenge right away. When all I get is
Oh
a
yeah.
honey or a sweetie, I'm like,
You
what's
don't
my
even know
name?
my name. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So
I had
it
that
was
happen.
both.
Yes, and that's a one thing. I'll just touch on that a little bit. That throws me off when they start calling you by the little pet name real quick, and you have to think, okay, is it because they're dating multiple women, so they want to make sure they're not messing up your
Yeah.
name, right? So it's just easier to call you some little pet name, and
Yeah.
then they don't have to worry about it. So I don't
And
like that
okay, so
either.
date multiple
Yeah,
women, but I'm not gonna call you honey. You're like,
yeah,
we can manage it. If the women can manage it, you can too, guys. Step up. Take some notes. Write the name.
yeah. We talked about that because there was a guy that I was talking to that kept telling me, like, when I asked a question, he'd go, oh, I told you that already. And I'm thinking, no, you didn't. Yes. And then I called him out on it because his whole intro to me was that he was a one woman man. so I kind of called him out. I'm like, hey, wrong girl. You didn't tell me that. And he was like, oh, that's right. Well, I'm still in the interim of dating, so there might be more than one. And then all of a sudden he started with the, I'll call you later, baby. And I was like, I ain't your baby. No, 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 no. And that just screamed to me that he was trying to get his date straight. He already knew he screwed up with me once and he was trying to get that figured out. So I was
Super
out on that.
interesting that he led with that he was a one woman man,
Yes.
and clearly that was
Yes.
not the case.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's trying to weed through what they're even saying to know what is true and what is not, right? And what they want you to hear.
Yeah. I will
Yeah.
say one thing that's been surprising is the repetitive love bombing. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the multiple texts a day of like envisioning this future. It's like, listen, Doug, we just met like 3 hours ago. I'm not
Doug.
envisioning. Actually, I haven't dated a Doug. It just came to me. Here's a
I've
legit
never
name. Okay,
dated a Doug
Bruce.
either.
Listen, Bruce. No, I'm not talking about going to your daughter's wedding with you. That's not where we are.
That's not where we
Take a
are.
deep breath. Have a
Yes.
seat. Yeah.
Yes. Because I think a lot of them, including women, we're dating for potential. We see in the future, we're like, oh, I can already see him coming to this event with me around my kids, what we're going to look like in our little white picket fence house with our dog. Immediately, when we start dating, we start thinking of that. And that's where the love bombing becomes, or the future faking. They always start saying all of these things that they want to do. And I had one guy be like, oh, I'm building a room. I'm going to make it a podcast room for you. And I'm like, I don't even have a
Creepy.
podcast room.
That's creepy. Okay, so
Mhm.
what do you do? Do you call him out on that? Do you is that a
um,
sign for you to back off? Where do you go with that?
well, I'll be honest, it should have been at the time. That was my wake up on that one because I was smitten. I was very smitten with him.
Mm.
And yes. And so there was a lot of the love bombing and the future faking. Like literally, he was like, I think we're going to need a 3-bedroom garage. I hadn't even been to his house yet. Yes. And he started talking to a realtor. So that was, and I was a little blinded by it right off the bat. And then my friends were like, okay, there's something off here. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So you're like, oh, yeah, totally. What was I
Yeah.
thinking?
And in your
Yeah.
defense, like we get that hit of oxytocin, right? The
Yes.
serotonin. We want to connect. We want to start it. That's why we're dating. We're not always, but looking for a partner. I know that's kind
Yep.
of. I think. Let me not say I know, but I think that's kind of where you are, right?
Yes.
Looking.
Yes.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's fine to go there, but at the same time, like those are conversations. Bring that to me. Let's talk about that as
Yes.
friends. Take it to Doug or Bruce or mom.
Poor Doug. Poor Bruce.
Talk
They're
about
getting
what you're
reamed today.
wearing.
I know. So, yeah, it's been very interesting. I think in the short time we've known each other, we've actually gone through a couple dates, each of us,
Yeah.
that allowed us to make some good comparisons and to kind of understand what each other is looking for so we can kind of help each other with that and know where we're at or where things might be a trigger, right? I think we've been
For
able to kind of
sure.
figure some of those things out. So it's been so
Well,
fun.
yes. And just to have that space to be like, what the hell? Like the
Yeah.
last date I went on, it went great. It was a 3.5 hour dinner,
Yes.
fantastic conversation. I don't even know if I've caught you up.
No.
Um, there's nothing to catch up. That's the whole point. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see you again. What's Wednesday look like? This was a Saturday night. What's Wednesday look like for you? And then there was like 2 or 3 days of just a random, I'd get like a meme text and then like a good morning
No.
and can't wait to see you again. And like that was it. So you have to stay
Oh,
so unattached to
and
an
it just
outcome and
faded
just read
out?
people. It just faded out, which turned out to be a
Interesting.
beautiful thing. I think sometimes too, the universe is just directing you in exactly what
Yeah.
is for you.
Yeah.
And but this being aware of like, okay, it can be an incredible date, or we can have these conversations about yes, this is what, and then they're actually married,
Yeah.
or they met somebody, you went on a second date with somebody else that was amazing for them, and so it's just being
Yes.
unattached, right? And keeping your perspective of like, this is what I want, regardless of what this person's telling me. Let me stay focused on myself.
Yes. That
Yeah.
is such a great point, Amy, because we tend to get lost in it and caught up in like, oh, well, they didn't want me like this or that. But everybody has an agenda right now, and we're all
Mhm.
looking for certain things. And, we have to assume most men, most women are talking to multiple people at one time, which then you know, you are kind of weeding out and you're going and you're comparing and you're like, okay, how do I feel with this person over here as opposed to this person? And then maybe you go on a few more dates than you did with the other one. So the whole thing is just a journey. It's just such a journey,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
we are learning as we go. And that's, that's really right. I think I was thinking about your date before that, where you had another great date as well. But again, it just came down to, when we were talking about, is it the right match for you? It was how you felt with him in a way of physicality,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes. It, we talked, that was that was not Mr. Six. No, that was this guy. So this
No,
guy,
this,
yes, was
we
great,
number
but
them.
I thank you to my daughter for that. Just like, just stick with the 6 out of 10. You're safe at a 6. I'm like,
Safe with a
don't know about
six.
that.
Yeah. No, he was
I
more,
wasn't
he
into the
was an
6.
8-ish and up. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a solid 8.5. But then
Yeah.
when we were together, right. And so that was, we did FaceTime, we did phone calls,
Mm-hmm.
lots of connection. And then Andrea, we met in
Mm.
person. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a super big girl. I'm 5'7", 128.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy was like smaller than me.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking just
In
stats,
the
like just
height.
height, like his build, his frame, everything. And again, I'm not a huge girl. And so it
Yeah.
was just,
It
it
just
was
felt
awkward.
uncomfortable.
So we had some conversations weeding through that. And here's where I say, like, stay focused on your spotlight. Like, what matters to
Yeah.
you? How does your body feel? Because if we step into like people pleasing or just this framework of like, I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, I didn't have any
Yeah.
reason really. Like, it was fabulous. So am I just being superficial and saying, but he's just
Yeah.
like a little dude?
Yeah.
Um, and
But
shout
what
outs
is
to the
wrong
little
with
dudes.
the
I like
little
the
eight?
little
The
dude.
little eight. He was good. But like, what is wrong with being, that's such a good point. Like, what is wrong with being a little superficial or like having a preference of what you want? I've talked about this many times on this podcast because
Okay.
I like a taller man, and that is a preference for me. I've gone over it till I've like beat everybody with a stick about it. And so
Mhm.
I'm sure they don't want to hear me say it again, but I do. And that is my preference. And that, Amy, is a prime example of you going out with this guy. Everything is great across the board. He's checking a lot of boxes, but it's how it made you feel. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, when some of those other things wear off, the communication isn't as good as it used to be, and you're not going out on all these dates and these nice restaurants, now you're with somebody who makes you feel a little less uncomfortable.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like, what do you do with that?
So I always bring it back to me. There's an older version of me that would have pushed through and self-abandoned, so to speak, knowing that like my
Mm-hmm.
body was like, this is not it. This is a no.
Yeah.
Like listening to that body, right? So this is where it's so important to do the work of yourself, right? Where you are
Yeah.
comfortable with knowing what you want, who you are, and those boundaries are strong and in place, and you don't have any reason or any need to try to kind of people please. Like it's a yes, it's a full, but here's what I live by. It's either a
Yeah.
full body fuck yes or it's a no.
I love it.
That's
I
it.
love it. And I think you
And
said that to me. You were
sometimes,
like, don't be in that middle gray area. Like, just make a decision. Don't waste your energy. Don't waste your time on somebody who you know is not going to be your future person. You just know
right.
it.
And we come from a scarcity mindset of, but maybe I can make this one work. But if we
Yep.
release that, right, and we make room for our person and we call that person in by this confident, assured energy, knowing exactly what it
Yes.
is that we want. And sometimes exactly what we want, we don't even know what that is,
We
right? Like
don't know
it
until
comes
it
in this
arrives.
package and you're like, wait, what?
That's
But
exciting.
yes, so staying attuned to yourself, I think, is just so important.
Yeah. And I think we actually did on that one because we mulled over it over breakfast or brunch
Yeah.
or whatever. And we kind of talked about your particular date. And like, and I think I was going, yeah, but what if? Yeah, but just to make sure you saw all sides. And then you go, you know what? At the end of the day, I just don't see him, as great as everything was. I don't see him as my future person. So you're
Yeah.
like, I'm just going to cut it. And you did. And I
And
commended
here's
you
where
for
you
that
have to
because it's
decide for
like,
yourself. Yeah, because
yeah,
it would have been perfectly fine to go on another date with them and have a good time. There were no red, no red flags, no reason not to. But I know that really what I would be looking for is someone that I want to invest a lot of time in, not just a
yeah,
couple of dates. So
just
it
one more
didn't
day.
make sense for me. Now somebody else could be like, look, all I want to do is go out on Wednesday and have a nice dinner. Great, go out with that person again, right?
Yeah, then
But it
that's
didn't make
fine.
sense for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So how have things changed from you, do you think, from like where you were maybe when you first started dating? Were you a lot more, were you totally different than you are now? Were you like
It,
just going out, going out?
she was a mess. She
I
was
love a
a
good
mess.
mess.
She was a mess. Okay, so because again, all of the growth that I've had personally, right? Falling deeply and madly in love with me is what changed everything.
Mm.
Okay, so
Oh, say
before,
it again for the people in the
right?
back.
Falling
Yes.
deeply and madly in love with me is what changed everything.
Love
Okay.
it. Love it.
Before it was, I don't want to be alone. It was fearful. And even if it was subconscious, right? But it was like, I need to have a person. I need to have a partner. I need to have this. No, this time
Yeah.
that I've had alone since then, and just the growth and the, that foundation of self trust and confidence and
Mm.
safety, that safety, all of the internal work, it is
Yeah.
explosive for creating the energy to bring your person in and to be able to clear the waters and make space for them to come
Yes.
up to you, right? Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. So do you think like your both your standards and your expectations change, or are they still,
Um,
you maybe started with higher, I think I
they're
can have
more
high
clear.
expectations but lower standards at times,
Sure, for
right?
sure. Again,
Yeah.
that comes from this, like, but maybe this is the best. Maybe Tom's the best dude that's coming through this week,
Yeah.
right? I don't know why I'm choosing these awful names today. Um, yeah, but it's coming from that scarcity mindset. And again, once you
Yeah.
know that, like, my life is amazing, and like, dude's gonna have to bring something amazing in himself because I don't lack for anything, right? Like,
Yes.
I take care of myself financially. I have great friends. Case in
Yes.
point, I travel when I want to. I do what I want when I want. I buy myself the
Yeah.
things that I want. I spend time alone and I love it. And so that person has to really bring something special. And
Yeah.
versus before, I was just like, there's an empty spot, somebody come fill it.
It doesn't
Not
matter
the
what you
vibe.
look like. All sixes welcome. But no, that's so good because I love that because that's what people are striving for. And a lot
Mhm.
of us, that is just everywhere, right? Like self-love, and you have to love yourself first before you can love anyone else. It's these old cliches and these same
Okay,
things we're saying over, but true.
but if you experience, I never knew, like, this is going to get a little sappy, but I
Love.
literally lived 4 decades of my life disconnected from myself, hating myself on a lot of levels, definitely not
Mm,
any sense of self love. Andrea, at
mm.
this point in my life, I can look in the mirror, look myself dead in the eye, and literally get teary and just be like, I fucking love you so much. And
Oh,
just your whole body
good.
lights up. When you get to that point, you just know that accepting anything less than what lights you up, and I don't mean fireworks and, butterflies, but what you
Yeah.
know is a soul connection and a safe, beautiful place for you both to grow and expand.
Yeah.
It changes
That's
everything.
so good. I think we
Yeah.
talked about that little meme or whatever where the guy walked up to it was from a TV show. It might have been Ted Lasso or something when the guy walked up to the girl and said, they were like, "So how was your date?" And she was like, "Oh, it was fine. He was good. He blah blah blah." She went on about him. She's like, "No, he was fine." And she was, smiling. And the guy goes, "What the fuck? Why are we okay with fine? Why don't we want fireworks and we want, lightning striking us? Why are we settling for fine?" That's the key right
Okay.
there is push
Well,
yourself.
and so I'm a life coach too, but bringing in some, like, somatic awareness and nervous system awareness there. Sometimes we have to be aware of, like, if our nervous system baseline is a 10 and we don't know how to function outside of our entire world being on fire, then we're going to look
Yeah.
for that in a
That
partner.
same
And
thing.
that's going to be a very
Okay.
toxic, explosive, disastrous mess, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes fine can be like, is it accepting a substandard, right? That's legit.
Right.
Or is it just that, like, you're used to functioning at an 8 of on the stress level, and this dude was
Mm-hmm.
kind of zen, and you're just like didn't know how to calibrate to that, right? Could that
Oh.
actually be a healthy match for you? So
Mm,
there are
good
layers to that.
points.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that you have this background too in your somatics and your life coaching and stuff to bring to this because I think that's really great to hear from that side too.
Yeah.
So
Well,
share
as we all
away.
know, we can have the head knowledge, but sometimes we need our friend to be like, okay, but did you
Yeah, but
think
did
this
you?
through?
Is Doug
So,
really the
God
one?
bless Doug.
Bless Doug. So let's talk about a couple. We laugh about like some icks and stuff like that.
Oh,
When you
yeah.
get the ick. Have you had the ick lately or recently at
Girl,
all?
listen, I went on a date it was right before I met you.
Uh huh.
Charming gentleman, amazing restaurant. There was a whole atmosphere. Andrea, we're 15 minutes into date one and he's trying to hold my hand.
Oh,
That was the ick for
15?
me. 15 minutes in.
No. Oh,
At the
come
table,
on.
like grabbed my hand under the table, put it up on top of the table, and like laid
To
his palm
hold
across the top
it?
of my. Well, and the waitress walked up and she was just like
That
she
was
looked at
fast.
me and what she said was like, "That's creepy." I'm like, "Girl,
Yeah.
yes, thank you." So yes, that was the ick. Tell me
Oh.
yours. What are some
Oh,
icks
okay.
you've had?
Okay. I had it recently and it's a good one because I actually told my son about it and he goes, ick. So I know it was a big ick. Let's just hope he's not listening. But
Okay.
anyways, so we are just talking about we were talking about the beach, going to the beach and having a good time. And then he goes, so what kind of swimsuit do you wear? Do you wear like a one piece or a two piece? And at first I'm like, okay, that's fine, like whatever, you know. And I go, I'm a two piece swimsuit. And he's like, oh. And then I can see like like just him thinking up there. And then he goes, so like what what kind? Like a thong or and I'm like, no. And he's like, why not? And I'm like, well, I
No.
have my personal reasons, but I no, I'm not out on the beach in a thong. And then he's like, well, what kind of suit then? What like what's your cup size or like what's your top like? Literally asked me my cup size and what my top was like, and then went on to
Wow.
the bottoms. And I'm just like, this is so icky. I felt so
That's ick.
objectified, sexualized. It was just like it's all he could think about. And then I'm pretty sure I said something. This was our third date. This wasn't like the first date. And all we'd done is kiss. We didn't do anything beyond that. And I just thought, how inappropriate to be asking me about my cup size, what kind of swimsuit I'm wearing on the beach. And I felt like I felt like in that Friends episode where if you watch that where Monica was like a chef for this guy and he would say something about like
Yes.
how you gonna cut those tomatoes and she's like I think I'm gonna do them Julian style and he's like oh Julian style like with this dirty and that's how I felt like he was like whoa what kind of oh yeah what kind of suit like what's the top like it was just so grody and then I said something that included my full name and he
Okay.
goes he didn't even know my last name. And I thought, you're so concerned about my swimsuit. You haven't even asked me my last name by a third date. Ick. I
So I
cut
need
it
to know,
off,
was
by the
there a
way.
fourth date?
No, I cut it.
Good
And
girl.
I
Good girl.
sent
Yes.
him, and
Oh,
you won't even believe, I sent him and I let him know in the text why I had an issue with him. I told him I'm a high value woman and I'm looking for somebody that
mm,
shows me respect and values me and is interested in knowing more than my cup size or anything like that. And he responded with, thank you for the feedback. Good luck out there. And I felt
thank
like
you
so
for the
good about that
feedback.
for the feedback. Thank you
Yeah.
for the feedback. Yeah. He didn't argue any of it. I mean, there was more things like he was looking at another woman a few times, texting under the table, it was multiple things. And I
Mm-mm.
mentioned all of them. And all I got was thank you for the feedback. There was no argument. So obviously he knew he did it too. Maybe he'll learn
Okay,
from it.
so let me just thank you for taking one for the team on that one and
Mm.
schooling him a little bit of like "Duh, duh, 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 duh."
Yep.
These are all icks, Doug. These are all
That's it.
icks.
I'm helping the next girl. I'm here to help the
Thank you.
next girl.
Yeah. Not that we always
That's
want to
what
be in
I
that
do.
position, but sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So speaking
Oh,
of kind of an ick, I wanted to bring up this. I think I sent it to you the other day. It was a clip of this woman, and it was a story about a woman in Arizona that had allegedly met a man on a dating app, and she went on one single date with him. And shortly after, she sent him relentless messages, an astonishing 159,000 text messages over nearly 10 months without any reciprocation. So these
okay.
escalated, right? Is that not
Why
crazy?
did you not block her?
I know. Well, that's a great
Yeah.
question. Now, I've said this before. I'm not a block. I might be a cock blocker. I'm not a regular blocker. I'm like too curious. So I'm kind of like sometimes I'll leave it just to see what they say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why I need to know. It just depends. But in this particular case, why?
It's fun.
Why didn't he block her?
Yeah.
It's a little ridiculous.
159,000 messages. So I have a friend who recently she was dating a guy for about 3 months. And then just she kind of got the ick. She knew that it was going to
Mhm.
go into the friend zone. And so had a conversation with him of like, hey, definitely if you happen to be on this, in the West Side, come see me. Let's have dinner. Let's grab coffee. But definitely no
Yeah.
romantic communication or chemistry.
Okay.
He continued to send 8 to 15 texts a week.
Oh my
Not
gosh.
159,000, but definitely. And then sent, hey, by the way, I still don't have a plus one for the wedding. We talked about you being my plus one too. Are you interested? Like, guys, no. When it's a no, it's a no. Yeah. So, but my to your point, she did not block him because she's like, yeah, she wanted to see like how long is this going to go on?
Okay, so one of the weird things is she did this whole chilling message to him where her text really escalated from like these big declarations of love. She all of a sudden went really bizarre and she sent like disturbing threats. She literally said, I'm going to make sushi out of your kidneys and chopsticks out of your hand bones. Yeah. And then later, when he was not home, they actually found her in his home. This actually went back to like 2017, and in 2018 she broke in, but it's come about again because there's a lot of mental illness going around and all of that stuff. So I think this story kind of became relevant again. Why is that so crazy to me? I mean, people with their mental and health obsession, it's hard though not to be. I'm not gonna lie, it is hard to be
Yeah.
normal these days. And to the ghosting and you know, the people that you're getting love bombed and catfished and you're talking to AI bots and all of this stuff. How do we not get mentally obsessed and have issues?
Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing there were some underlying pre-existing conditions in this
Yes, I've
case.
seen a video
But
of her.
let's,
There definitely is.
okay. But let's look at it from his point of view too, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
like let's curiosity is one potential,
Hmm.
perspective that he was sticking in this. But
Yeah.
at what point do we need to like, maybe involve the authority or just like make a report so there's something on record, right?
Yes. Yes.
And how did she get his address? Although it's not hard to get information now. But yes, and maybe having a conversation. Did he communicate back with her at any point, right? Of like, hey,
Yeah.
we've gone a little off the rails here. Understatement. Right. But so there are
Yeah.
lots of ways. I mean, looking at it coming from, let's say if we were him, right? If we had someone coming at us this way, all the
Yeah.
safety measures, right? All the safety
Yes.
measures in place, which we didn't hit
Yes.
on any of those. That
No,
that
and
would
we
be
can talk
yeah.
about some of that stuff. Like, what are red flags early on? Like the warning signs that we need to be kind of watching out for. Some of the safety measures
Yeah.
up front. Like, we haven't really talked about that. Like going to a guy's house on the first date. Like, what is that? I guess, some
Yeah.
people, they're fine with that. It used to be total chivalrous for a guy to pick
Yeah,
you
for
up for a
sure.
date. Right. And now we're all so scared and we're like, oh, I don't want him coming to my house. I don't want him knowing where I live. So I don't even want the guy picking up. So
Hmm.
the men don't even get to be who they want to be in some ways, because some men are still like that. I
Mm,
want to be old school and pick you up. And we're like, no, thank you. I'm fine. Can I get your number? We talked about that when a guy's asking for, the number, or he just gives a number to you. And I'm always like, oh, I don't want to give out my number to all these different guys. It's
yeah.
hard,
For sure.
right?
Well, first, always going back to checking in with the body, right? Like if
Yeah.
your intuition, if your gut, if your little
Mm,
spidey sense kicks in, like it's just not worth it,
trust it.
right? Some of the
Trust it.
basic safety stuff that I do is I always have my location shared with multiple people on my phone, right?
That's great.
I Okay, here's where, all right, Andrea, we have not talked about this. And this is where I
Tell
have
me.
some friends and some people who are like, that's crazy. And other people are like, absolutely. I take a picture of the license plate. So if I'm
Oh,
getting in the car at any point, say we're going from the restaurant to, a club, whatever. I don't go to
yeah.
clubs. I don't always say that. But they were going somewhere from the restaurant. Getting in the,
Okay.
we should do that. Or I
Yeah,
guess we will on a cruise, right? That'll
we're
be
going to
fun.
do that.
Yes. Okay. So I take a picture of the license plate, right? And
Okay.
like when I was in another state, I have a cousin who is a state trooper, so I would like send it to him and he could run it. Like,
Oh,
you just get your lineup of safety measures that you need.
yeah.
If
I think
I'm,
that's
if it's,
smart.
yeah, I mean, when you think about going like to somebody's house or like a weekend trip or something like that, you should always know, to your point, the last name.
Yes.
I don't think you need social and mother's maiden name. We don't have to go that far.
No, maybe not that, but
But yeah,
definitely. And, and I admit I'm not as great at Googling people as like sometimes when I'm, reading different things on Facebook or wherever, and people are like, oh, I found out this, and this so quick. And I'm like, how do you even find that out? But I tried it the other
yeah,
day with someone I was going to go out with. I had his first name. I knew what his job was and I knew what area he lived in. And I just Googled his name and area and his
yes.
job, found him. And I was like, oh,
Yeah. So those are basics,
six
right? Like you can at least
basics.
verify what they're saying. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm an attorney in Beverly Hills. Okay, well, are you really? And that's easy enough to
Yes.
find out. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I don't know how that whole thing's going to end. I did watch a
Yeah.
little video of it with her on it. She obviously something very wrong with her. She had some issues with the number threes, and she felt he was her soulmate. And she was like, "Oh no, he's going to love me." She's still saying it. He's going to love me at some point. So
Mm.
that's a little let's not get
A
that
little
far with
extreme.
the dating people.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's
Pay
nip that
attention
in
to
the
the
bud.
flags, run things by a friend, think about them
Yes.
outside of the context of like wanting this as a partner, like kind of be the observer, right? Like, okay,
That's a great
if
idea.
Andrea came to me with this situation, what would I say to
Hmm.
her? Okay,
What would
then
I
let
say to
me
her?
not veer from that. Yeah.
I love that. That's a great
Yeah.
idea to think about it from a bigger perspective.
Mhm.
Yes, love that. All right, well, I want to wrap it up by talking about some little modern dating dilemmas. I thought it would be fun for us to either go yay, nay, or eh. Like that's, oh, and's like a maybe. Okay, so we're kind of going like hell yeah, or like fuck no, or like maybe. Okay,
All
so
right,
I
cool.
got
Bring it.
5 little dating dilemmas. Let's see what we would each do. Okay, number one. Okay, he doesn't drink, he doesn't dance, and he wants every date to be a hike. Are you a yay, a nay, or a eh?
I mean, you'd have to throw out something other than hiking because I'm an addict. That comes like,
Because you love
okay,
hiking.
he wants every day to be bowling. That's a no for
That's a
me. That's a no.
no.
Because he's not
Like, let's mix
considering
it
my
up.
desires. Yeah.
That's a great point. He's not doing that at all. And that's really not compatibility if you're just doing everything he wants to do, right? Continually. So I like that. I'm the same. I'd be like, no, like, I don't care if you don't drink. Doesn't bother me. I'm not a big
Yeah.
drinker, so that doesn't bother me. If you don't dance, I just assume most men don't. Most men
Or
don't. So if you
shouldn't.
do, surprise, or shouldn't. So if they do, surprise. But wanting to go on a hike on every day, I don't even want to go on a hike on a first date usually for me because
Yeah.
that seems a little scary, especially if nobody else is around, right?
Yeah. Back to our
Yeah.
safety issue, right? No
Yep.
hikes on the first date.
No hikes on the
ladies.
first date, people. Let's not do that. Okay, number two. He has a king-sized bed, but he still sleeps with a childhood stuffed animal. Is this cute or cringe? Are we saying yay, nay, or eh?
Okay, so context, I would immediately say absolutely no, not. But I have a 27-year-old child who still sleeps with her sister. So no.
So we can't say anything.
Do I want my man sleeping? No, that's a no for me.
Yeah, that's a no for me too. Good answer. I like that one. Okay, number three. He FaceTimes you randomly without warning, and you're not even dating yet. So I hate
Doug,
it when they
let's talk.
Doug, you're out of here, man, because there's got to be boundaries. When the phone rings, I think I've had that when we just be chatting and they think they're just going to be bold and like try to call you and they call you on FaceTime. And I'm like, well, no, wait a second. No. I'm not okay with that.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of those modern day things, right? Like maybe they don't have an awareness of what the socially acceptable
Etiquette.
FaceTime guidelines, right? What is our FaceTime etiquette? So we're putting that out there now. No, you don't
Yeah.
FaceTime without having a discussion about it first.
No,
We
but you're a
don't
big
always want to
FaceTimer.
see. I am.
You
Yeah,
are before a
because
date. Yeah.
I want like the eye contact and the like. It's different than just the voice, a voice
And if they
conversation.
refuse the face, if they're like, nah, I don't want to face date, which or FaceTime, I actually heard this on another podcast. I was listening, Patty Stanger from Millionaire Matchmaker was on there, and she said she never FaceTimes, but she said because she knows that she does not look good on FaceTime, it's always a bad angle for her. And she would rather them see her the first time, like really cute. And I was really kind of surprised because I would think that would be like a really good boundary and say, I'm not going to go out with you if you don't want to FaceTime. That's odd.
Yeah, I like my whys more than hers, but that's legit at the same time. Like, so there's a guy I dated actually that he's not a 6. He was a solid 9, but on
Nice.
FaceTime, like a 4.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but I didn't FaceTime him until like we just had a phone conversation, went on a date, and then like, the relationship progressed somewhat. And so we did some FaceTimes then, and I was like, yeah, it just looks terrible on FaceTime. So
Interesting.
it could have been a
so
no.
the 9
Like,
was established in person. The
yes.
9 was in person and then stuff. That's really surprising.
Okay, you're right. Patty's onto something. It could backfire.
All right. We'll let her have that one. All right. Number 4, he tells you on date number 2 that he's manifested you into his life? Is that like a future walking red flag, or are you like, hell yeah, I love that you're doing that?
It would be context for me. If he's just like randomly thinking he's cool, throwing out the word manifestation, like, dude, back off. But if we've had some deep conversation, which I do, I don't usually even have surface, like we go deep quick. If it's
Yeah.
on brand for him, I
Yeah.
can have a conversation about it. But otherwise, if you're just trying to be cool with your manifestation, no.
Then no. So if he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
so if it's like your second date and he's like, hey, so I was thinking we should go meet my mom this weekend because I
yeah.
manifested you into my life. That's probably that's a red flag.
Oh, like that's going to turn into
Definitely.
159,000 texts and he's in my apartment.
with hand bone chopsticks. All right, last one. He only communicates through Snapchat and does not want to text at all. Are you digging that?
What are you,
No.
15?
That's what she's saying. It depends on who I'm dating. Am I dating my son's friend? Woo. Then hell yeah, let's Snapchat. If it's a normal person that's around my age, no. That is so
Yeah.
wild. Or they only speak in emojis. I cannot. I think emojis are good at some point, but I wish they were never created. They've become a form of communication for some men. And I'm just like, hey, I don't speak emoji. You're going to have to use your words.
I'm
Give
getting
me
you a
something.
t-shirt that says that. I don't speak emoji.
I don't speak emoji. Like, come on. It's
Yeah.
such an escape for them, right? Because then they don't actually have to talk about their feelings. They don't actually have to put anything in writing. And you go out of your way to put this little heartfelt, you can do like a really heartfelt thing and they heart it. And you're like, is there more? And then
So
there
if that's
isn't.
yeah, that's a good clue. If that's your communication style, this is not going to work for me.
Not
Right?
it.
If I
I'm
pour
a
my heart
hell no
out
on
and
that.
get vulnerable and you're like,
It's not going to work.
Nope.
I think we're on the same page here. We're on to something.
Yeah.
See, this is why I say at some point, I'm not a lesbian, but I'm going to end up in a compound with all my girlfriends. I know it. Because
We'll
that's
build the
way,
first
the way,
building.
the way it's headed.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love
God.
having you on with me today, Amy. Thank you for being vulnerable and telling some of your stories. You are going to come back and start joining me a little bit more so we can just kind of shoot the shit and everybody can get to know you and our relationship and live vicariously through us.
Yeah. And just kind of see our different perspectives and dating and walk through this together. It is a good time. Thank you for having me. You're a blast. And I've loved every second.
Awesome. Thank you. And to you guys listening there, I hope you enjoyed this episode. You guys can find me on any major streaming platform. You can find me at from.mrs.2.ms on social media. And if you have questions, you have things maybe you want me to ask Amy, I don't know, you can email me at Andrea@from.mrs.2.ms.com. You guys have an incredible week and we will see you next time. Bye.